Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Finkel is out, and the timetable to negotiate a Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua deal for April, it's changed. These are the two big updates coming out of the Matchroom camp, and one of them actually flies in the face of comments that Hearn himself just made a few weeks ago. I'll work through the statements from Hearn, get to some thoughts, and then focus on the negotiating timetable stuff more specifically in the second half of the video, because there has been a shift. There is some things that were said then that are vastly different now, and you can look at them one of two ways. Buckle in. Let's go. We know Deontay Wilder's co-manager Shelley Finkel, he's refused advances from Matchroom to discuss their percentage offer deal for April, until at least December the 1st, citing Wilder's upcoming fight with Tyson Fury and not needing the distraction of a negotiation during the build-up for that fight. But now Finkel is seemingly out. Gone burger, Gonski, history cut out of the negotiating loop, excised from the negotiations entirely. Well, that's according to Hearn, who was asked by Fight Hype in Chicago the following question. When people kind of roll their eyes at the December 1st deadline, people say, why in your right mind would you negotiate before the fight? Hearn's response was, there's no such thing as a December 1st deadline. All we're asking is to open talks. For Wilder, when you've got an advisor or manager that's refusing to have a conversation about an undisputed heavyweight world championship fight, fans have to be thick if they think Joshua doesn't want the fight. How do you expect to make a fight when the advisor won't even have a discussion about it? Not even a cup of coffee. He emailed us about 4 days ago and said, we're not interested in meeting. We're not trying to get the fight done before December 1st. We just know that if we start negotiations after December 1st, it's not something, we know that relationship, it's not going to get done in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's going to take time. And actually now, I've had some positive conversations this week about the fight because I've had to remove it from Shelley Finkel because the relationship is so bad. And Hearn, he also confirmed the percentage offer that Matchroom has made comes with a minimum guarantee and is a 2-fight deal, with the second fight being held in America. And the percentage, it wasn't revealed. Okay, so thoughts on that? These claims that Hearn is going around Finkel, it's very interesting. I mean, the relationship, it's clearly not good. It's strained, it's been fractured to the point where Hearn, he's been using his father Barry Hearn to act as a go-between. And that's not entirely surprising that it's got to this point, because Hearn has been slagging Finkel off in the media for months, calling him Shirley Winkle at every opportunity, taking pot shots. And it's also, some of that's been coming back from Shelley Finkel from his side as well. But Hearn, he has been a protagonist in this as well. But I'm a bit cautious about this tidbit of information that Hearn has fed the media, because that's what he did. And I'm cautious for a number of reasons. I mean, just look at what he did say. He didn't actually outline what progress has been made. Nothing concrete except to say, good progress. And what does that even mean? For all we know, it could be that he's received a email receipt or a brief email acknowledging an email that he sent. A quick call back that sort of says, yes, we got your offer. It may not be anything consequential. It may not be substantial at all. We may be getting fed a bit of a line here. Remember, Shelley Finkel has basically put the wall up. So if he's got any word on anything, it's going to be more than Shelley Finkel provided. You can spin that and sort of say we're making progress, and it may not be anything much at all. You'd also have to imagine that Finkel hasn't been going off man alone, just making blanket statements to the media, saying no negotiations until December. Going public, saying that sort of stuff without having discussed it, getting agreement from the key players within Wilder's team, the wider infrastructure that Wilder operates under, it'd be a foolhardy move. And Shelley Finkel is an experienced veteran. Surely he's been bringing guys into the tent. They've got some key agreement about what they are and aren't doing. I know some would argue that Finkel is being stubborn and bitter. He doesn't want to work with Hearn, and that may be true. But others would say, well, actually, if Finkel isn't going to come to the party, Al Heyman might. In that same interview for Fight Hype, he was asked about Heyman, and Hearn said Heyman doesn't say much of anything. He sort of made a bit of a quip, but he didn't confirm that it was Heyman who he's been dealing with. And he didn't exactly dispel the idea either. He sort of just left it hanging there. It was open to interpretation. I'm not getting my hopes up as a result of this news, and I certainly question how it has been positioned, simply for the fact that there's a lot of public pressure from fans on Anthony Joshua, on Matchroom, to make the fight with Wilder for April. Regardless of who Anthony Joshua fights, fans will cheer him on regardless, but the opponent most people want to see him in against in April is Wilder. So Matchroom, naturally, they have to be seen to be pursuing that fight to the ends of the earth. They have to look like they're doing everything that they can to make the fight. And if to say that he's going to go around Finkel, well, that could be part of the wider strategy. Okay, this guy's a roadblock, he's throwing up a wall here. We'll say we're going to go round him. It may not be successful, but at least we can say we tried, that we did everything that we could. And if they didn't do everything that they could have, the accusations of ducking, which Hearn has been publicly refuting, they would continue to be slung around in public. And despite Hearn saying he's gone around Finkel, doesn't mean the fight gets made. It doesn't mean that meaningful negotiations happen. Wilder's camp may actually be united. They may be unified. They may just hold on to the line of, well, we're negotiating once this fight is over. Just because Eddie Hearn has said he's going around Finkel doesn't mean that anything is going to happen. Doesn't mean that mountains are going to be moved. We've got to be real about this. These two, because he's doing a bit of a divide and conquer here. He is saying that Finkel is out of the picture and he's now working with someone else. He's trying to divide Team Wilder. And one thing that Eddie Hearn has well and truly changed his tune on is the time in which a fight can be made. He's now saying, we're not trying to get the fight done before December 1st. We just know that if we start negotiations after December 1st, it's something we know the relationship, it's not going to get done in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's going to take time. But just a matter of weeks ago, very different story, in an IFL TV interview on August the 28th, you can go look it up yourself, Eddie Hearn said, we really, within 4 weeks of the Povetkin fight, if Joshua can win, we need to select his next opponent because of mandatory obligations and putting in requests for exceptions and stuff like that. Also, in a separate interview on the same day at the same event with IFL as well, Eddie Hearn said, we haven't got time. We can't wait until December to sort out Joshua's next fight. And Wilder shouldn't be boxing in December. He hasn't boxed since March, so he can't get himself ready for a fight of that magnitude in April anyway. Make of that what you will. It is quite a difference. They've gone from, we're selecting the opponent within about 4 weeks, we don't have time to wait until December, and Wilder won't be ready for April, to now, there is no deadline. That's the fight we want, and we need to get a head start on negotiations now to make it for April. Depending on your view of the world and which fighter you support, you can certainly look at it one of two ways, these sort of changing statements, the shifting sands, the fast car Eddie routine. One way, that they are really trying to make this fight, that they've doubled down on efforts to do so because it's the only opponent Anthony Joshua wants to face next. He said as much publicly. We can't underestimate that he's starting to give them the hard word to say, look, you need to make this fight. This is the fight that I want. Let's get it done. I'm not going to be very happy if we don't get it done. The other side of the coin would be, they know it's unlikely a Wilder fight can be made for April, but they need to do as much as possible to prove to fans, to prove to Joshua, to prove to everyone that's got eyes on this potential fight that they did everything they can. But then they will go off and announce an alternative opponent and say that they did what they could. They will say that the other side didn't want it. And you certainly, from what you've seen and heard on the internet, fans are having these debates all over the place. It's raging. It gets very heated at times. But the shunting of Finkel out of the way is certainly interesting, if true. As is the deadline that Hearn was originally gunning for, it's now been significantly relaxed, at least from what he's saying publicly. But just on the whole, we're not trying to make the fight before December 1st. Where does that actually leave the promotion of the event for April, if a Wilder fight was confirmed in December or even in January? Because in response to a tweet to Barry Hearn, which someone said you can wait until December to negotiate, Hearn replied saying, "That's fine, but it rules out planning April 13 properly, which is not the correct way to promote. I wonder if the double rematch rumour is true, in which case Wilder can't make April date. ? Information ? Certainly the stuff around rematch clauses for Wilder and Fury, it's not really known in any great detail, a bit murky there. And if an immediate rematch was forced, well, certainly that could be a cat amongst the pigeons. But certainly there was a question for me that came out of the other stuff that Barry Hearn mentioned there. How much time is actually needed to plan and promote a fight for April at Wembley? Legitimate question. Because the Joseph Parker fight was announced 2.5 months out from the fight night in Cardiff. It was a similar period for the Alexander Povetkin fight. That was also at Wembley. And would announcing a Wilder fight, say in January at the latest, for example, would that really affect planning and the promotion? The venue and the date for April the 13th, it's already booked. Surely a lot of the planning and logistics, you can get a lot of that underway now. All the transport stuff, other bits and pieces, it doesn't matter who the opponent is. You know you're going to have a hang of a lot of people in the crowd. There's going to be a big crowd no matter who the opponent is. So surely a lot of things around planning for the event, the associated logistics, that doesn't matter who the opponent is. So how much time do you really need to promote the event? And also Joshua said he's going to be starting training camp in January. So is January the real deadline? I don't know. I mean, there's certainly lots of questions here. But these comments from Barry Hearn saying it rules out planning April 13 properly if negotiations start in December. I don't know. What do you make of that? What did you make of Eddie Hearn saying Finkel is Gomberger, out of the picture now, they've gone around him? Also, Eddie Hearn's statements, previously saying that they were looking to make a Joshua fight for April, the opponent known within about a month or so, but now it's seemingly the deadline relaxed. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.